Welcome to the Schools Visit Service, part of Derbyshire County Council. This is the info bites on planning a residential. In this video, I'll be covering 5 fundamental stages in the planning process. So stage 1 is justification, and that's about the learning outcomes you want for your students. Stage 2 is permission to run the residential. Stage 3 is the 3 W's. Where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and who you're going to go with. Stage 4 is about staffing. And finally, stage 5 is about risk assessing. Step 1 is the justification of it. So make sure you're clear on that. Make sure you're clear with regard to the learning outcomes that you want from the residential for your students. Also, you're going to have to do some research. So where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And who do you want to go with? And we'll cover that later on in this video. Do you have any students with additional needs? Because you need to take that into consideration with regard to what you're planning. So you've done step 1, you've done justification. Step 2 is permission. So make sure you seek permission from a senior manager before you do anything else. Before you tell any students, before you send any letters out to parents, certainly before you book anything, and definitely before you part with any money with regard to deposits. So get permission, and then you can really start to get the ball rolling. Step 3. Now we've got those 3 W's. So what we're going to do, and where we're going to go, and who we're going to go with. You've already done most of the legwork with regard to what you're going to do with the justification, and you would have thought about where you're going to go. But if you need any further help with that, then do contact us at the Schools Visit Service, or you can look on the Learn Outside the Classroom website or the Schools Travels Forum website, and that will give you ideas as well. Who you're going to go with, you need to do a level of due diligence there to make sure they're fit for purpose. And you can look out for something called the Learn Outside the Classroom Quality Badge, which is independently assessed and shows that the provider has all the relevant safety procedures in place and a level of quality as well. If they're doing adventurous activities, then they need to hold an adventurous activities license. So that's rock climbing, caving, canoeing, mountain biking, paddleboarding, and hill walking and mountaineering. That's a legal requirement if they're working with under 18s. So do check that they hold that if you're doing adventurous activities. If they don't have any of these, then what we have is a provider form, which is a self-declaration form. It asks the provider that they have a safety policy, that they have a safeguarding policy, and also public liability insurance as well. So if you ask them to fill one of these out, they're on our Evolve website, so you can download them, send it to us, we'll check it as well, and then we've done our due diligence for that provider.
You will also need to work out all the costs of the visit, including any entrance fees to attractions. For most residential visits, there will be an element of voluntary contributions from parents or guardians for the trip to be able to run. Ask your EVC about any funding such as pupil premium and for students on free school meals that could help families who may find it difficult to fund. Also check that you have adequate insurance to cover the trip, including cover for any individual student that may have to cancel because of illness.
Stage 4 is staffing, and this is about the competence of staff that you're taking with you, but also about your competence as well. So do reflect, what experience have you got? Do you have enough confidence to lead a group? Can you deal with emergency situations? Have you been on residentials before? So take all those into consideration and make sure that you're happy to take that group. You'll also need to have, or generally have, an assistant leader as well. And again, you'll need to pick them to make sure that they have the capabilities to be able to lead that group if for any reason you can't. So you could be ill, or you might have to take a child to hospital. So the assistant leader has a very important role. And then with regard to other staff, well, you'll decide how many you need really on the risk assessments that you've done. So you may have a number of variables to look out for. For instance, there's the age, there's the maturity, there's the number of students you're taking, there's the activities that you're planning on doing, and there's also the environments and locations that you go into. Taking all those variables into consideration, then you need to work out how many staff you'll need for that trip. And finally, step 5, and that's risk assessing. So there's a number of risk assessments that you'll have to do and complete. The first one is the all visits risk assessment, and that's the generic risk assessment that covers the general supervision and safety management of students. You'll also have to complete a residential risk assessment, and that looks at the risk management of the students while they're actually in the accommodation. You may also be running your own activities, and if you're doing that, then you'll have to have specific risk assessments for those activities. And we have pro formas for quite a few activities on the Evolve website, and alongside them we've got corresponding tick lists which cover the common hazards for those activities, which will help you fill the risk assessments in. So we've covered the 5 basic stages. So you know the learning outcomes, so you know what benefits the students are going to get from the trip. You've got permission from senior leaders for the trip to go ahead. You know where you're going, you know what you're going to do, and you know who you're going to go with. You've looked at the needs of the students and the activities, and you've decided how many staff you need to take and what competencies those staff need to have. You've also used that forward-looking radar and looked at the hazards of the trip and the associated risks, and you've put control measures in to reduce those to a reasonable level. We haven't covered everything with regard to school visits and residentials, so there are things that you still need to consider. Do you need to do a pre-visit? Consider about looking at the accommodation and the safety aspect of that accommodation, particularly the fire safety with regard to evacuation and also safeguarding. There may also be other issues or things you need to consider with the needs of the students. You might have a transgender student that you need to accommodate as well. We do have guidance on Evolve, and we also have risk assessment pro formas as well that you can access. And obviously we're here to offer support and guidance anytime as well. So have a good trip.